year 11 here. So when I first started, this was the only group that had me speak, so I love coming back here. And today I want to bring a few clients with me. And each year we talk about changes in the law. This year I'm talking about what we need everybody else to help change. And it's injuries to pets where the people who cause them are not held accountable. So first we will talk about the people who harm them are not held accountable, or the people who make decisions about them make the wrong decision. So first we'll talk about Bentley. So Bentley is a Cane Corso. It's about 5 years old now, and over 1,000 days ago, Bentley bit somebody. Bit her in the hand. And when there's a dog fight, cities and towns can hold a dangerous dog hearing, and they can decide what should happen to your dog. And in this particular town, which is Millis, I have no problem calling them out, because I keep saying Millis just wants to kill us, because for 3 years, Millis has been trying to kill Bentley. And the owner, when Bentley, certainly something has to be done about Bentley. He needs to be better managed. He should be on a leash, behind a fence. At the time, the dog was just out front in the yard running free, and we can't have that, but the person who got bit doesn't want anything bad to happen to Bentley. But the board, so dangerous dog hearings are heard by boards of selectmen or chiefs of police. In towns, it's a board of selectmen, and there was a 3-person board who voted to euthanize, but really just to kill Bentley. And they had come to the conclusion that if they told the owner to put up a fence, to get training, and to better manage Bentley, that she wouldn't do it. And we took on the case, and now we're 3 years later, and they're still fighting us to put Bentley down because there's been no incidents in over 1,000 days. They have appealed this to multiple courts. We had to go to the appeals court on this, and now they're still spending money on an attorney, and we're going to have a trial on April 30th in the Rentham District Court about whether or not Bentley's a dangerous dog and should be killed. And that is such a waste of time, because clearly Bentley, they were going to euthanize a dog that's put in 3 good years of being a good dog. Owner is a better manager, and that's what happens with these dangerous dog cases. It's usually owner error, and having been to about 200 of them, most of the time we can fix it by retraining the owner. It's not the animal's fault. And we have put in, as a law firm on this, 200 hours, 206 hours to save Bentley. And it's when people don't know about dog behavior, don't know what they're talking about, have a chance to be in the hearing role, an authoritative role. If they don't know what they're doing, this is why we end up with a dog on death row for 3 years. But the whole time, Bentley's been home with his owner. Also, we're talking about Ember. I met Ember about 2 months ago. I spent about 5 hours at her house. And she is a tripod cat who someone found, brought to the vet, and the vet called a rescue in Fitchburg and said, hey, we have this cat, can you find a home? And the rescue found a home. And that's about a year and a half ago. The rescue, with some misplaced agenda, has been telling my clients who fostered the cat, they want the cat back because they're afraid my clients are going to kill the cat. Except that my clients, one of them is a surgeon. This cat, Ember, is a tripod with lifetime incontinence. So Ember has to always have a diaper on. She's incontinent for everything. This cat is 24-hour care at this house. They have a schedule where each owner will get up at different times. Each pet parent, she lives in this amazing, gated house inside the house. She gets out, she runs up the spiral stairs, she jumps around, she just pees and poops because she lost control of her muscles there because she was probably hit by a car. But for a year and a half now, we've been fighting to keep Ember with Ember's owners who know how to take care of her. The rescue has now hired their 4th lawyer to try to get Ember back, except they don't have a place to put Ember. And the best place for Ember is in this house, but we've been to court now 6 times to fight to make sure my clients can keep Ember. And in that case, we have put in 102 hours so far, all because a rescue is spending time over sort of a power play because they weren't happy that Ember was taken to a different vet than they usually would take their pets to. And so because of that, they're trying to get Ember back. It's just such a waste of their time and money because they could be rescuing so many other cats. And this Fitchburg Friends of Felines, who I have no problem calling out, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that is making sure that as many cats as possible have a safe home. And while we don't bill for 102 hours, it's expensive, it's time consuming. Luckily we have a judge who's kept Ember with my clients. But these are sort of the day-to-day calls that we get at Boston Dog Lawyers. And then we have Atlas. So Atlas is a Frenchie, and I mean this is part of the job that I have. Is some days I'll just go to people's houses and hang out with their pet, with my client, and that's a great day. To think that I can be a lawyer and some days just hang around with dogs and cats, it's pretty fun. But it's also super emotional. And with Atlas, I'm bringing Atlas with me today because he's still alive, but he had airway obstruction surgery a year and a half ago. So on October 1st of 24, and after the surgery, the vet used the heating pad, except they forgot about Atlas. And the heating pad burned Atlas's chest. And here we are a year and a half later, and Atlas has a permanent hole in his chest. I didn't bring those pictures, but right here is where you can see it, but it's actually 3 inches by 2 inches. Atlas can't play in the snow. Atlas can't go to the beach and play in the sand. He can't sit in the sun because it's so raw. And he's so low to the ground that he really can't go outside. And this veterinarian facility refuses to take accountability for it. And these are the types of things that we have courageous pet owners who are like, let's go battle. But really, I think that if more pet owners knew about the harms that are happening to other people's pets, it could be any one of us. And with Atlas, I got an email Sunday night from the client with more pictures, and Atlas had to go back to the doctor. And honestly, with the Atlas case, it makes me cry. When I see the dog and when I hear about the pain that he's going through, and no one will take accountability. They left the heating pad on too long. Instead, the veterinarian, their insurers, the lawyers are making us now we filed suit a year ago. And we don't like to sue vets, but when they have to take accountability. In order to make things safer for our pets, we have to make sure the people who are caring for them take accountability. Financially, they're not required to take accountability. The law looks at our pets as property. We've had cases where we've been able to acknowledge that there's special type of property, but still the law does not want to put a dollar value on them that's more significant than the replacement value. But if we did, these places would be better about how they handle our animals. Boarding facilities, trainers, veterinarians, if they were going to be punished financially and they knew the stakes were higher, they would engage in better practices. But they know they're not. The value of these cases, people don't want to hire a lawyer because it could outpace what you could recover. But fortunately, when we get clients, every client is courageous because the clients we had 10 years ago made it better for the ones 8 years ago. And every year we see improvements in what we can obtain in terms of recoveries for people. But it's not about the money. We take the case, and the people who come to us want us to take the case to make it better for the next pet owner so they don't have to go through this again. And this could be, like I said, any one of us who go to the vet, who go to a boarding facility, who go to a trainer, who go to a groomer, and you find out after that there's not much you can do to hold them accountable. And that's why so many fights or bad reviews and things like that take place in social media. It would be better for these professionals if they took accountability and improved their practices rather than having their business outed on social media, because that's not a good way to handle it either. So the point of this discussion today is, if we were such a large group, pet owners are, but we're not organized. There's pet owners who've been aggrieved, and that's a group that's getting organized, but it's the pet owners who haven't been aggrieved yet. That's the power that we have to make change, because, like I said, any one of us could be there. And at Boston Dog Lawyers, we're trying to start organizing groups. We brought in a grief counselor. We're trying to see ways to bring pet owners together so you know what could happen and that there's things you can do now to prevent it before your pet gets hurt. At the same time, one of the important things to me is to continue having Boston Dog Lawyers or something like it as a resource throughout the country. And so we have an internship program now where we have 12 interns from around the country, young lawyers, law students. We are accepting requests to be part of the internship group, and we have teams of them who each work on different projects, not just in Massachusetts but around the country, so we can introduce this stuff to the young law students and lawyers who we need to continue this on. Part of this is, usually it's me talking for 20 minutes, but I'm happy to take questions if anybody has some. And these are just 3 out of 110 cases right now, and each one is egregious and it's emotional. And we're trying to start posting more about it because you need to know about these things as they're happening. Typically, we would process the case and then tell you after, hey, here's how it went. But it's about the battle and the journey. That's what's more painful. I mean, these pet owners for Atlas, they don't have the dog that they wanted. They can't walk him. They have to make sure he doesn't sit in the sun in the house, and that's not right. And now, made worse, is they have to be in court for 1.5 years so far because veterinarians, these particular ones, and pretty much across the board, don't want to take accountability. They're afraid that if they do, then people will sue them. It'll just open up the courtrooms to suing veterinarians. But if they just improve their practices, if boarding facilities just actually start to realize how to keep things safe and have fire safety protocols, have dogs of different sizes in different parts of the building. These are things that we're trying to affect, and we help pass legislation to improve it, but I don't think enough people know about it because it's, unfortunately, you only learn about it when something bad happens to you. So we're trying through our newsletter also to spread the word. I've given talks to 100 people and 2 people. I remember one of them was my wife. So I'm just happy to spread the word one person at a time. There's cards here where you can go on our website to sign up for the newsletter where we're trying to keep these cases front and center. Thank you for listening on a Saturday morning. Does anyone have any questions?
So in the case of the first dog you spoke about, who actually prosecutes those cases? Is it the ACO for the town, or is it the town council that brings that?
So, good question. I kind of jumped over that. But when a dog bites or is accused of biting, the victim, the owner of the victim dog, or the person who's bit, or the animal control officer can make a complaint under a particular statute, which is Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, and then they're supposed to investigate it. The investigations are, we'll take some pictures and we'll hear from the victim, and we probably won't even talk to the dog owner. So then they have a hearing, and oftentimes they'll give them 2 or 3 days notice. Hey, you have a hearing in 3 days to defend your dog's life. So the person doesn't have the time to get the resources together, and they frankly don't know enough that there's lawyers out there, although this week we got 3 of them. And these hearings, they're public, so anybody can speak at them. And the animal control officers do their best to tell the board, here's what happened and here's what I recommend. But the people who sit on these boards, it's all political, it's all local for the most part in general, and they wield a lot of power in their little community. And so my job used to be go there and just fight them and tell them but now I try to educate them that there's so many things we can do for the dog and for the owner. You can medicate the dog, you can get better equipment, maybe the dog needs to be rehomed to a better owner, maybe this owner can't care for the dog. And then once we get through that, they'll make a decision, they'll vote, and they'll determine if the dog is a dangerous dog or a nuisance dog or nothing, and then issue an order. And they can do everything from muzzling the dog to euthanizing it. And oftentimes these hearing authorities are only learning about the law that night, yet they're charged with making these life and death decisions. So you have procedural due process rights as pet owners, and that is a right to a fair hearing. So That's what we do. We make sure that whatever decision they get to, they get there the right way, and then there's an appellate process if they don't.
So the appeal is to the district court or to the appellate division?
So the next appeal from a local is to the district court, and the next step is a clerk magistrate's hearing. It's a complete waste of time. It's nothing comes from there that's good. Maybe 2 out of 100 clerk magistrates have the courage to actually overturn an order of the city or town, because all they're looking at is, was it a fair hearing? And I'd say 4 out of 10 are not a fair hearing, but they don't want to be the ones to put the dog back out there. They don't have the courage oftentimes. I have no problem saying that after 200 of these. And so then it goes to a trial de novo, a trial before a judge. Except in the case of Bentley, we filed the appeal timely and the town said we didn't. And in 2023, it was my birthday and I was in court and the judge said, you didn't file it in time, so you lost the trial. You can't have a trial and Bentley's to be euthanized. So he was wrong. We had to go up and up to prove that he was wrong. We filed our appeal timely, so now we're going to get this trial. But that's how much these towns want to fight. To do what? To have a dog strung up in the center of town and killed? Like, that's just, it's inappropriate, and it's thinking from the 1950s. It's not 2026 in these cities and towns. So typically, we'll have one in the town, and then the next time they'll be a little bit better. But Millis is not getting it. I've reached out. We'll put all these things in place, keep things muzzled, the leash, the fence, the proper gates, but they refuse to resolve it. So April 30th, Rentham District Court.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. I know some of you were compelled to sit here, but I hope you were a little bit entertained. Please grab a card and have a great day here. This is such a great event. Have fun.